the connection speeds are far slower than expected. The reason for this is that the state telecoms company underestimated the huge demand that they've received. Cubans overwhelmingly connect to the internet to speak to friends and family abroad. This is a country where families are divided. It's not uncommon to find families with some siblings living inside Cuba and other siblings and loved ones living outside the country. So I connected on one of the first days when this new service came out in December last year, and the 3G was pretty fast. It was comparable with other countries. You could video chat freely. Since then, the demand has augmented so much that on most people's mobile internet connections, you're not able to video chat. Voice chatting is difficult. Sometimes certain apps won't work. Sometimes it will take a few minutes even to receive an email. Wages in Cuba are low. The average wage is approximately $30 a month, although in real terms, in terms of what people can get for that money, it's higher. But let's say $30, that's on a state salary. Well, the cheapest internet package is $7. So people already find it very hard to make ends meet, and taking a big chunk of your average state salary just to get mobile data. The government's communications are somewhat 20th century propaganda comms in a 21st century. No doubt the Cuban government is worried about an increase in connectivity, in communication abilities between those in the island that don't want it to be in power. And I think more than that, they're worried about just being overwhelmed technologically and in terms of slick PR and marketing in a field, the internet field, that they're not very good at by the United States. There is no cable linking up Cuba with the United States, and given that it's so close to Florida, it's only natural that it would be linked up. Well, many other countries in the Caribbean and Latin America do have cable running from the United States. At the moment, Cuba is speaking to Google about the possibility of laying cable for the first time, but so far, multinationals have been scared off from dealing with Cuba because of the embargo, and that's reduced their bandwidth. Also, the embargo affects Cuba's ability to have internet because it locks Cuba out of financing. So if you think about how internet companies normally go about laying all the very expensive infrastructure that having decent internet requires, they get loans, they get investors, they get people to lend them money. Cuba can't access World Bank funds. Cuba can't access private credit markets. Cuba cannot access the IMF. In terms of censorship, people are censored from some websites, but the sort of websites that are censored in Cuba aren't the sort of websites that by and large people are interested in. So there are some dissident websites that are censored, but the vast majority of Cubans not only have no interest in looking at them, but don't even know they exist. The main websites that Cubans use are websites like Google, Facebook. They like looking at fashion. Some of them like reading newspapers. All of these are uncensored. The US embargo also has a censorship effect. So, for example, many Google products, the Apple iStore, making purchases, for example, on Google Play, these are not possible due to the financial restrictions of the US embargo. So the censorship cuts both ways.